What I'd like to show you today is how to use extensions in order to support accessibility for people, learners, apprentices or otherwise who may need extra support due to dyslexia, dyspraxia or other neurodiversity needs such as ASD and ADHD. First of all, I'm going to show you how to actually add an extension. So I'm just going to open up Google Chrome. This is also the same way that you can do it in Edge and Firefox. So in order to access your extensions, if you at any point go to your three little dots in the top right hand corner, you'll be able to access extensions from the side menu. Exactly the same in Edge and Firefox. So what we're going to do is visit the Chrome Web Store. So if you don't know what extension you're looking for, you can search broader topics. There's also an accessibility function, as that's what we're looking at today. We do know what we're going to add in first of all. So I just want the colour overlay. I haven't spelled colour incorrectly. It's an American tool, so there's no U in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to hopefully find the one that we want. Click on extensions. It's quite far down. As you can see, there's a lot that you can actually pick from, and this is the one we are going to choose. Now it's as simple as add to Chrome. It will ask you if you're okay with adding the extension because it will change data on websites. By that it means it's going to change the screen or the text or some kind of picture. It isn't going to be taking all your data. So if I click add extension, what you'll see is it tells me that it's been added and I can click on this icon. At any point, I can now access my extensions from what looks like this little jigsaw piece. What I'd like to do is make sure that colour overlay is accessible to me all the time without having to add this stage in. So I'm actually going to click the little pin, and as you can see, it has appeared next to that particular icon. So here I've just brought up a news page just so you can see how this works. So at any point you can now click on the icon that you've added and select the colour overlay, and you can select the particular overlay that you want. Personally, I prefer something in the kind of grey blue spectrum. Might be looking a bit green, that one. Just because that's what I prefer to look at. Now, this doesn't just help people with dyslexia and dyspraxia, but it also helps people who might suffer from a lot of eye strain or people who may need extra support focusing on their screen. At any point, you can just switch that overlay off. So I'm going to show you another tool that you can download as an extension. Again, you can go to your three little dots and download extensions, or I'm going to take my little shortcut here on Google to find what I want. And this time, what I'm going to download is the dyslexia friendly extension. And again, same again, I'm going to add that into my extensions. Now, as previously stated, you can pin that if you feel this is one that you're going to use a lot. So let's just go to the BBC News page again, just so you can see this working in action. What I'm going to do is switch off my colour overlay so that you can see that. And the dyslexia, as you can see, is it changes the font instantaneously when I switch that on to be something more dyslexic friendly. So if I just click on the news page, you can see that working. You also have the option to switch on and off a ruler, which allows you to be able to read things more effectively. Now, if I just click on a news story, you will be able to see this working better with the ruler. So as you can see here, it is highlighting the portion that I need to read. Part of this is really useful because when dyslexics are reading, for the majority of us, we tend to lose where we are, or we lose track when we are looking through a particular line of text, and this just helps us remain focused. At any point, you can switch these off, you can change fonts, or you can switch off everything altogether. Back in Chrome extensions, what we're going to look at now is another one called Post Light Reader. So we're just going to add this into Chrome, again as an extension. And I'm just going to obviously pin that so that I can access this quick. Back on the new BBC News page. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how this one works in terms of supporting people who particularly suffer with eye strain, or particularly people who need a bit of help focusing on particular topics. So we have our news story here. Now, I'm already distracted by this live story. I'm distracted by whether I need to sign in. I'm distracted by these other stories. Look at all these other things I could look at. There's a picture. As I'm scrolling further down, there's lots of distractions on this page. Now, if I click my little rocket ship that I've added in, it'll just ask you to start using it. And what it does is it takes away all that, what's known as visual noise. So taking away visual noise allows the reader to focus on exactly what it is you want them to read. And as you can see, this is a lot more user-friendly. You can actually read it a lot better. If you're a Kindle user, you can send it to your Kindle to read as well. You obviously need to have an account and everything set up. There's also a settings up here where you can actually change the size of the font. You can change the type of font, and if you want a higher contrast as a dark theme, you can also complete those as well. At any point, you can just exit out of that, exit out, or simply switch off your extension in order to use it. Back in the extensions Chrome store, what we're going to look at now is a tool that's potentially what you would class as more of an all-rounder. So we're just going to type in Omaguru, and as usual, add that to Chrome, add the extension in. And again, just through process of repetition, we will pin that so that we've got our little symbol here. What we're going to do is flip back to the BBC News channel just so you can see this working in action. Now, what this allows you to do is actually look at a lot more topics and a lot more tools that you'll be able to use. So if I just turn Omaguru on, what it allows you to do is change fonts. You can select which font it is you like. Sometimes you do need to hit a bit of the refresh button, and as you can see, the text has changed. And you can see whichever text I choose, it is changing automatically once I've hit the refresh. You can zoom in and out of particular things that you want to look at, and you can also change the line spacing. Now, I am just going to click on another news story if you're a Rolling Stones fan, and I'm going to show you the line spacing. Now, what you will see is the page looks like it's kind of slipping. What it's doing is it is increasing the space between the lines, which actually makes it easier for dyslexics to read. It allows you to be able to not have all the text bunch up together and struggle to, because you've got a defined space, you're not going from one down to the next and losing your place. Okay. What you can also do is, I am just going to focus on this particular colour because this is very visually pleasing to me as a colour. It allows me to be able to read this a lot clearer because it is not a bright white background. Anyone that uses PowerPoint a lot, if you use a colour like this or a pastel yellow, it often makes your slides easier to read rather than using a bright white. What you can also do is flick the reader mode on, which does a very similar thing to the post-light reader and actually removes all the noise. Just hit refresh because you've clicked something new, and it will remove things that you don't need to see. The final one I want to show you, I've come to Microsoft Edge just to show you that it works just the same. Again, to get your extensions, you click on your three little dots, go to extensions, exactly the same way that we did in Google Chrome previously. So I've got my read write for Google Chrome here. And as you can see, it's actually asking if I want to install it for Microsoft Edge because I am in Microsoft Edge. And the answer obviously is yes, I would like to do that. Just be aware that this one can potentially see your email address as well. You are obviously asking permission for this to be used through your Google account if you have one. So I'm just going to pick up on some, again, let's go with some news stories. Let's go on the crowning crisis, just to have this as an option. Now, with our extensions again, in Microsoft Edge, rather than having a pin to select to pin it, you actually have a little, it looks like an eye, and it will add it to the toolbar there. If you watch that again, you will see that appear. Now, if we click and open up Read Write, you get an entire toolbar of things to actually use. Now, what this allows you to do is exactly what it says on the tin. It allows you to read and write with this particular tool. So if I highlight this particular passage and press play, that will actually read out what that statement says. At any point, you can just press stop and it will stop reading. This tool has a lot of things that you can actually go on and do. There's a particularly good tool that I like here. You might have a particular passage that you like. And what you can do here is if you press this icon, it will actually create an audio MP4 recording of that particular passage that you wanted highlighting. So you can actually create curriculum with that audio instead of reading if you want. You can have that read out to people who might be struggling. It gives you so many different applications that we won't have time on this recording. What you can also do with this is we'll keep that same piece of text highlighted. You can actually click the web search and it will bring up further articles that might support what that particular news article or passage is saying. What you've also got here is screen masking, which again, it will reduce your eye strain and give you a bit of a mask. You can switch those tools on and off. You can also use the talk and type, which I'm not going to show you in this video. What you can also do is if we highlight these particular passages, I'm just going to do these in different colours with the highlights. At any point you can delete your highlights, but if you click this particular box here, which is collect highlights, you can select the colours. So you might only want the blue, you might only want the pink or the green to highlight. You can click OK, and then it will actually create you a document with just those highlighted areas. So there might be particular bits in an article that you want to pick out, because us dyslexics are experts at skim reading, and they might be the important bits that you want to look at. There is just one final tool that I want to show you in the extensions. So if you actually go into extensions, you can do this the same in Chrome and Firefox. We're obviously still in Microsoft Edge at the moment. If you go on Manage Extensions, you can switch these on and off anytime you want. But I just want to draw your attention to keyboard shortcuts. What you can do is if you want to activate the extension without having to go up to your top toolbar, you can set yourselves little shortcuts. So if I press Control and R, for example, that would bring up that extension to be activated now, just as a shortcut. Again, you probably need to note down what your shortcuts are, or have a particular language that you use yourself. You might even use numbers, you might use symbols. That's entirely up to you. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that informative, and you can go away and use some tools to support you with your accessibility.